Yeah, I mean, if I'm just attracted, like, I don't really care.
But
Like,
it's like, how long does it take for you to fall in
Let's
love with someone?
go.
I don't know. I haven't been in love.
Okay.
Is being a black screen.
So the last question I got for you. Why would a traditional man who had those traditional traits and values want somebody who
See,
is
now I'm
stillborn?
understanding. Like, anyway. I'm not saying
Let's
they
go,
would.
let's go.
I'm just saying what I like.
Yeah,
So
but-
it's like, for me, I'm not stupid. Like, I understand what I do as a job. I understand the way the world would view that in a negative light or whatever. And that, at the end of the day, that was my decision. So maybe it's harder for me to find a man that I want.
So let's circle.
You know what
all,
I mean?
We're going to circle all the way back. Now
Let's go, let's
to
go,
the
let's
original
go.
question I
Welcome,
asked you.
ladies and gentlemen, to Aim
Do you
Trading.
think that there's going to be any long-term ramifications
The thought
from
process
you doing porn?
of this podcast.
The response to this was everything except this answer, which is that it could definitely have significant problems when it came to the relationship that you would want
Thickestboii.
with a man who
Ah,
has
it's
traits,
Foxy, you're up.
characteristics, and values that you're after. How come you left that out?
I'm still in training mode.
Because most of the time,
I just started training mode there.
Thinking about it.
Well, they always bring up, what is your,
The usual.
what about your family? What about your children? They're not thinking about, like,
I'm on 32.
I
about your
assume,
future
I assume you're
relationship.
going to have children with somebody you're in love with.
Yeah, of
Then you
course.
want that person to have those values, right?
Of course.
That comes before the kid, right?
Of course.
So that comes before the kid. There's a step-by-step process here.
Right.
Yeah,
The type of
46 now.
you're after for the values, aren't you hamstringing yourself?
I mean, no, because, I mean, at the end of the day, if a dude doesn't want me back, I'm not going to chase it. Like, I'm not going to look stupid.
Yeah,
Like,
but why would a man who had values, structured values, and was traditional, which is what you want, why do you want to be with a corn stalk?
right. I'm not saying a traditional man has to be.
So how's that not hamstringing yourself?
Well, because it's like, I grew up in a household that was a Christian household. And so maybe it's just the way I grew up that it's kind of ingrained in me to like certain traits in a relationship. I'm not saying that's an indefinite to what I'd be looking for. Like, let's say I find someone and they're not even like that at all, but I love them and it works for us, that's fine too.
Really? You think that you're going to be able to change things like you want them to be dominant, a provider, have traditional values? You really think you're going to change your what you're attracted to? Really?
I mean, if you love somebody, yeah.
Can I ask you a question on this? Can a guy be dominant and a provider, but not be traditional?
Yes.
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 So that's what I mean. That's where I kind of think about this. Part of me, when he's
But there's an undercurrent here to look at. Yes. So in other words, I'm going to concede that this is logically possible.
right,
I don't ever see it though. Meaning that the types of men I think who desire to be in those roles generally seem to have a value structure which underpins why they want to be in those roles. Otherwise, what the hell would be the point? You just go out and be a promiscuous man whore and hump every chick you saw and lie to them, be a scumbag. There wouldn't really be any negative ramifications to that. So why not do that?
on the provider front, I do wonder though, like if there's like liberal cuck soy boy who's like just, he's making, nothing precludes a liberal cuck soy boy from making a ton of money.
No.
So they can fall into the provider role. It's not clear if they're, the dominant component is a little more
Yeah,
questionable.
but let me ask the counter to this.
Yeah.
So the liberal cuck soy boy,
Yeah.
why does he want to follow the provider role?
That's a good question.
Maybe.
It would occur to me
Maybe it's
that
like instinct, because like, weren't you talking about like male instincts or something
Sure.
earlier? Like, what if it's just like ingrained from where they grew
I
up?
would think it would be instinct to not be a liberal cuck soy boy too, though, right? That seems instinctual, but maybe it's not just purely instinct. So for bad news, though, what would be the incentive for somebody who lives in modernity, makes tons of cash, right? And he doesn't see really any value in being a provider where he can just basically go out and hump whatever woman he wants. What would be the principle underpinning behind that? So you said you're raising a Christian household, so you probably assume the way that you think about it is. It's supposed to be man, woman, children, devoted wife, right? Head of household husband. These are the examples that you see.
Right.
You know why that becomes ingrained though? Because those are examples that work. And so you look your whole life and you look around you and see all kinds of examples that don't work. Traditionalism is really just the study of experiments that worked. That's an experiment that always works. It seems to work the best at every other
It didn't work
experiment.
for my parents.
Hey, John, this is a fast warm-up.
Of course not.
Fast warm-up, John.
But even if your parents split, it doesn't mean they won't enter into
It's
another
fast
traditional
warm-up.
relationship with other people, right? So again, this is the experiment again seeming to work as it's supposed to. Even if with these two people it did not work, doesn't mean they're not going to look for a reformation for exactly that same kind of relationship again. That's the examples that we see that work the most. And so that's why we kind of are always looking at them and going, okay, why does this work? So
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, like that. I don't think that's relevant to like the original point, though.
I think it is, because what you're after is you seem to be after all the values of somebody who has an underpinning ethical system. The ethical system being what are the things you value? Honesty, right? Integrity.
I don't know what they're on about, lads.
Part of that, the nature of I provide for a woman, I take care of wife. Wife doesn't have to work.
Just take care of each other.
I'll kill myself in the factory every day to make sure the family's taken care of. There has to be some kind of underpinning there for ethics, right? Why do it?
Right.
Yeah.
So you're saying like,
I'm saying that after the ethical part, I don't think you can arrive at the traditional part. I don't think it's easy to arrive there.
right?
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I guess.
Can I add something?
Yeah.
Nobody wants to be a single mom. I have a child, and I would not be able to do it alone. I just got a C-section, and I was in
Oof.
the ICU for septic shock. And, you know, my boyfriend had to step up and take care of my kid. I was literally dying on my deathbed, and I had to get blood transfusions, everything. I don't know how some women do it alone. That is like, it's sad that, you know, some women go through it, but that's definitely a partner that's going to stick by me.
Empowering.
You know, I couldn't even put on my own underwear.
But weren't you with this guy for 3 months before?
Well, no, I knew him for a long time before then. I
Yeah, I know, but romantically, right?
romantically, yeah, we'd hang out in groups.
So wasn't that just a gamble?
Well,
Yes.
I guess I took his word for it when he told me that he was serious and he did want a family and a serious relationship. And it just so happened that we got along and we have very similar interests. So, I mean, it worked.
But I mean, if you were
Very
to
similar
yourself,
interests. He's rich.
this would be right
yeah,
for you.
This definitely, yeah.
You would never recommend it for somebody else.
Honestly, I got really lucky. I
Yeah.
won it because maybe they would end up a single mom, honestly.
Right, that's what I'm saying is like,
Yeah.
I understand the principle of what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's really difficult. It seems like it seems stupid that a woman would actually choose to be a single mom, though they do.
Yes.
Because you're right? It takes there's a lot more
Takes a
work
village.
involved than well, it
not
doesn't
good
take
for
a
the
village,
dog.
but it does take a dad.
And also, like, you don't want your child growing up, hey, mommy and daddy are dating different people. That's not a good example. You know, that's just, you
Yeah,
know,
a lot of people do it.
Example of what though?
good example of having a traditional
What?
Of having
Yeah.
under.
And then you're gonna,
I'll tell you when I finish, bro.
yeah, and then my daughter's gonna grow up, well, my mom.
I'm still recording the video.
So I'm gonna go be a single mom.
Right.
Hypothetically, you know? Not my
I mean, that
It's not.
depends how you like view the world.
I mean,
Like I'm not gonna
for
go
some
around
people.
like, for me personally, because I did grow up in a certain way, I'm striving to not have that happen.
I can barely hear you, bro. I'll let you know when I'm finished.
Nobody's what I know.
Wait, hold on. Because
I'm on 340.
Wait. You don't want, so you do want to get married.
Yeah,
You do want to have kids.
absolutely.
But don't you think simply by virtue of the work that you've done, that's going to make it much more difficult to have a stable relationship? No impact whatsoever on the...
It'll definitely have an impact, but for me, like again, as I was saying, like
Well, how...
it doesn't need to be like the concrete, like
But if it'll definitely,
Yeah.
but if it'll definitely have an impact, wouldn't that have an impact on the likelihood of the, the success of the relationship?
No, because I'm not gonna get married to someone that I have like things like about my past, you know, like if you're mad that I did this job, you're not the one for me, you know?
But what if it introduces issues down the line in your relationship that materialize years
I'm here.
later? Well, for
Yeah, I'm
example,
here.
This
Chill.
is perhaps one you won't be able to avoid. You said you wanted kids. Okay,
I'm on
what sort of complications will be introduced
437.
into not only your relationship,
Just chill. I'm recording a video, bro. Just chill.
which will invariably introduce issues with your partner if the child is bullied, for example, because of the work you've done.
I mean, I'm planning to have kids in like 15 years. Like, I don't know how would they.
You never know.
Think
You never know when you're gonna have
see
kids.
videos of you in 15 years from now. And not only that, but
Have a kid next week.
not only that, but in
Well,
15
get
years
pregnant.
from now, the father of that child will still be the father. You could choose that father from today, and it could be the father in 15 years. And I don't think doing the industry that you're in. I'm sorry, was I not clear?
I understand what she said.
Okay, just keep
kind
going,
of.
keep going, keep going.
No, you weren't clear. No, I'm kidding.
I could rephrase it. But, and also, so the father that you choose now could be the father of your kid in 15 years. And the father that you choose most likely won't be a better father while you're in the industry. Like, do you really think you're more likely to get a good man in the industry than you, or are you more likely to not get a good man while you're in the industry?
I mean, based off of their argument, it would be I'm less likely.
But what do you think?
For me, like, I mean, I don't really care. Like, for me, like,
Wait, no,
I'm
but
not
you do
even
care.
looking.
Hold on, but you do care because you said that due to your past experiences, yourself as a child, you said you don't want that for you and you don't want that for your future children.
Correct.
You said you don't want what happened to your parents to happen to you.
Correct.
But simply by virtue of the work you've done and the work you do, it has increased the likelihood that that will be the outcome. It's not a
Absolutely. I
guarantee,
never denied
not a
that,
guarantee, but it's
Right.
increased the likelihood
Right.
of that outcome.
Yeah. I mean, true.
And when you have a kid, you're gonna want to protect them. You know,
I'll
want the
protect
best
my
for them.
kids, but I mean, it doesn't have to be in the context of what I used to do for work. I mean, I know a lot of girls that I grew up with and their moms were strippers and stuff, you know, and like no one cared. It's just like I feel like shaming
They cared.
someone for
And
their
cared.
past at the
Hey,
end of the
Chad
day.
boy, how are ya?
Well, I mean,
Chad-
okay.
Sorry,
Chad
go ahead.
boy.
Finish it.
But what I
Shaming.
was saying is
maybe in
that
the next stream,
shaming
bro.
people for their
If
past,
YouTube lets me.
like, obviously that's an issue, but I feel like
Wait, why?
All gooners
it's
are
an
welcome, bro.
issue because,
Hello, fellow gooner. Hello,
like,
fellow
as you
gooner.
were saying, like,
Would you date a broke guy?
a broke guy,
Would you date a broke guy?
I have in the past, yeah.
Okay, was that the question?
No.
Would you
But would
date-
I now?
would you date-
Absolutely not.
Well, so hold on. Because of a man's perhaps lack of action, his current state of affairs, he's
Mm-hmm.
broke. Perhaps, and this is due in part or in
Mm-hmm.
totality to action or lack of action he took in the past. So you are essentially shaming him for his past actions by not being at a place financially of you being acceptable in the present.
But that's not the same as shaming them. I'm not shaming you for being broke.
Bro, you
So you-
shamed Bills by Destiny's Child, TLC, No Scrub.
I have no
I
idea.
mean,
Bro,
in
Come
my
on.
TLC,
Hey, but does a man want a broke woman?
So I mean,
men don't care.
men don't care.
What about
Yeah.
What about shaming? Like, for instance, I hear you. Okay, that's fair. You shouldn't shame me for what I did a week ago, 10 days ago, 20 days ago. But what if the perception is, okay, but you're going to do this again tomorrow, and next Tuesday, and next Thursday? Is that okay then to shame? Or is it just what you're really saying is it's just not okay to shame people?
I didn't say it wasn't okay to shame people, but in the context of what we were saying, which was my job, which I'm not the only person in the world that has a controversial job.
I agree.
Right?
Sure.
It's just like what you guys were saying was coming under the context that it would cause an issue. I don't even know. know. Like, I could die tomorrow, like, and none of this would even matter.
Yeah, but what do
You know what I meant? You know what I mean? Like,
but if you're, when you live your life, you live your life through risk mitigation, whether you think so or not. You don't blow through red lights, right? How come? How come you don't blow through red lights for fun?
illegal.
You're most likely gonna.
Let's say it was legal. Would you blow through red lights for fun?
No.
Why?
Because I would get T-boned.
Oh, so you're mitigating risk,
Right.
right? Do you want to get into a car that has shaky wheels?
No.
No. Why?
Because it's dangerous.
And so you're what? Mitigating risk.
It's risk.
You're mitigating risk. So you
Oh,
live your
boy.
entire
Come on.
life mitigating risk. Doesn't it sound like a little bit of cope to say, well, it just so happens I'm in this industry which has a high risk associated with it. I just don't care about mitigating it.
I mean, couldn't you say the same thing about like police officers or something like that
What?
put their life on the line every day? Like that's
Very safe job. Very few police officers die yearly.
Sorry, can I say
But it's
something?
like that
Hang on,
doesn't
let's-
relate to the point because
I think it does relate to
Bro, I'll let you know when I'm ready. I'm recording a video, bro.
If we're talking about risk mitigation, assume for a second that every single police officer got shot while they were on duty. Do you think that anybody would want to be a police officer?
No.
No, probably not, right? But if you were to have acceptable risk where you go, okay, almost no police officers actually get shot on duty. Now, that seems like it's not that much of a risky job.
Ooh-wee.
Right? However, when you're talking about doing porn, for instance, what do you think the risk likelihoods increase that they don't end up with happy marriages with traditional men?
I don't know the statistics, so I can't say anything.
If I
You
were
know,
to
it's
tell
all
you,
a
though,
what if.
let's just say I were to tell you a ridiculous number, like it's 95%, would that even change your mind? Would you stop doing it tomorrow? The truth.
No.
No. So then it does. So then I don't even know why ask me the question of, but I don't know the statistic. Regardless of what the statistic was, if it was 100%, you still wouldn't stop.
No.
So then,
She flawed, boy.
ultimately,
She
you just
flawed.
say, to hell with risk mitigation in this,
Right.
because I want to fucking do it, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it's life. You make choices and there's consequences. I'm not denying. I never denied the consequences.
Oh my
I'll
God, I'm
say
getting
that.
tired,
not,
boys.
Like,
This is
delusional.
Bips.
Like,
This is fast
I
warm up.
understand
Fast warm
there
up.
is a point, you know, and there is like a place where, you know, it might be an issue in my life.
Yeah.
For that,
But what if in 10 years, though, you remember that you were on this random podcast with this asshole who told you, don't continue. You could stop now and it'll mitigate risk overnight. You can just stop. You can go get a job as a secretary. You can go get a job as a car salesman. You can go get a job as a I don't know, fucking stand-in teacher somewhere. You can do anything but this, and your life's outcome is going to likely be better, right? Wouldn't it be better when you think about that objectively?
827. Let's
Just
go.
Fuck, I should have listened to that guy. And instead, just quit. Do anything other than that.
Well, if that happens, I'll find you and take you out to a nice dinner. Right?
Can I say something?
No, you're going to find me. Here's what's going to happen. I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. Right? 10 years, I'll get the phone call. And you're going to say, man, Andrew, you were so right about this. And I'm going to do this. I'm going to go, I told you, dummy. Right? Because that's social shaming. The hope there is that you'll take that laughter and internalize it, and it'll make you seethe with anger so that you'll speak out in 10 years to the next generation and say, this didn't work out so well.
Life, you know, you learn things, right? I mean, who knows? Maybe it'll go my way, and I'll call you and be like, "Yo, it worked out," and laugh in your face.
Maybe.
That's not gonna work. Yeah. No, that's not gonna work.
Just now, and I think that you're still 19, you're young. He, I think he brings a really good point. But I want to ask
course.
you something. Would you date a broke guy if, like, you could build a life with him? Like, he doesn't have any money right now, but hypothetically, let's say you get pregnant, right? And he's like, I don't have the best job right now, but I'm willing to get another job. But who knows? Maybe he's making $2,500, $3,000 a month. Would you be okay with dating him? If he's really trying.
3,000 a month
Well,
is
yeah, 'cause that
broke.
shows
What?
ambition.
Okay.
But it's like if you're just a broke man and you have no ambition and you have no plan and you have
Oh,
no like
eh.
I don't know, like again, like what I was saying is like a dominant man. If you're not doing anything to improve your life, that doesn't attract me.
I
to
think-
it. And I would never get pregnant by a dude that couldn't afford a child.
But do you know what? Things can change. He can get a job. He could say, do you know what?
that
I need to
doesn't
step it
apply to
up.
me.
Yeah, but you're honestly like you're just Xing like a bunch of guys that could potentially you could potentially date. There's nothing wrong with that. Not to get personal, that situation I have with my boyfriend. He couldn't afford a kid. He got another job, and I'm essentially a lot better off than him financially.
45 more box boys. Let's
who cares
go.
if they're broke? Who cares? Honestly, once you have $200,000 in cash, are you going to care about if a guy is broke? Seriously, does $200,000 in your hand mean anything to you? Would it mean anything to you?
Well, I already said that it's not
Would it
about
make you
them being
happy?
broke. It's about their ambitions and their.
There is some people
money.
that money would make them happy. I'm the happiest I've ever been in my entire life, having a child and having a family and being a mother. I don't give a fudge about money, and I've seen
He said it.
that much money in cash easily.
Right. I didn't say I cared about
20
it.
more box boys. Let's go.
With
Right.
that money,
Yeah.
you can. How would you support your kid with that money?
Yeah, you're saying you don't care about money, but how would you support that husband
I mean, you
and kid
need
that you
10 more
to support a
bucks.
kid, but
Oh.
you guys can be a team. You guys can build a family together.
But I'm not doing that
Like
after I'm
that sounds
pregnant.
like a gold digger
What?
comment. That really does.
How is
like,
that gold digger to want
No, what
to
she
find
said.
someone
What she
that wants
said.
to be able
Then
to
you
provide
guys-
for the child?
Well,
I'm
that
not going to
is
get
fine.
pregnant
1,000, let's
if we
go.
cannot